In tabletop role-playing games, you you spend hours building a character who can withstand dragon breath, dodge fireballs, and, go toe-to-toe with ancient liches.
Oh, yeah. You're practically a demigod on paper.
Right. But if you've ever actually played in a long-running campaign, you know that the most dangerous monster in the game rarely has a health pool.
No, it really doesn't.
It's usually like a localized crime boss sitting right across from you when you've just rolled a 2 on your persuasion check.
That is the beautiful, terrifying reality of a tabletop game. I mean, the dice, they do not care about your carefully laid plans.
They really don't.
And the consequences for a bad conversation can, ripple out much further than a missed sword swing.
Which is exactly why you're here with us today for this deep dive.
Mm.
We're looking at a stack of session notes, character sheets, and lore documents from a campaign that is just, well, it's absolutely firing on all cylinders.
It really is.
And today we are focusing strictly on the events of Session 10. So if you are catching up or preparing for a game like this yourself, I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road.
For sure. So to set the board for you, the party has just survived a literal trial by fire.
Barely survived, let's be honest.
Barely. Over the last couple of sessions, they just barely escaped the burning roof of the Shrine of Savras. And Whiffer, the party's Aasimar fighter, was actually killed. Like, he was dead.
Dead.
Yeah, his soul was yanked back from the outer planes at the very last possible second by Boris, their cleric.
Thank goodness for clerics, right?
Always. And they salvaged a massive magical golden bell from the shrine. So now, finally, the adrenaline is fading, and they are waking up in the relatively soft beds of the Stonehill Inn in Phandalin.
You'd think there would be a moment of relief there, like a chance to just breathe.
You would hope so.
But the bill is immediately due. They walk downstairs, and Harbin Wester, the townmaster, just drops this massive reality check on them.
Yeah, the rumors that they've been chasing. Entirely true.
Right. The scattered orcs they've been fighting out in the wilderness, they aren't scattered anymore. Harbin tells them they have officially formed an organized army.
Which is terrifying for a small town.
Exactly. The roads out of town are completely compromised. Phandalin is sitting on a razor's edge, and our heroes are woefully short on resources, information, and allies.
And that sets up the overarching theme for every single thing that happens in Session 10, which is basically debts and deals.
Debts and deals, yep.
This entire session is a masterclass in watching characters try to negotiate their way out of deficits, whether those deficits are, political, spiritual, or financial.
Right. And it starts with the most immediate problem, right?
Yeah.
How do you get resources when the town you are desperately trying to protect is essentially broke?
Well, you take that massive magical golden bell you just hauled out of a burning shrine and you try to fence it to the local shadow syndicate.
Naturally. So the party heads over to the Miners' Exchange to meet with a woman named Halia Thornton. Now, for those unfamiliar with the lore of this world, Halia isn't just like a friendly neighborhood appraiser.
Yeah.
She is a secret agent for the Zhentarim.
And we should probably clarify what the Zhentarim actually is for context.
That please do.
They are a highly powerful, shadowy mercenary organization. You can think of them as part mafia, part intelligence agency.
Super dangerous.
Very dangerous. They seek to control the Sword Coast through wealth, influence, and a very loose interpretation of the law. But, they are wealthy.
Right. And the party's goal here is incredibly straightforward. Sell the shiny golden bell, get a mountain of gold, and just hand that cash over to Tiber Wester.
Yeah, so he can hire mercenaries to defend the town against this encroaching orc army. It's a really solid tactical plan.
On paper, sure. But the execution is where the mechanics of roleplay just completely derail the strategy.
Oh, absolutely derail it. Vitrovia, the party's tiefling druid, takes the lead in this negotiation.
And she is the one carrying the bell.
Right. But there is a massive catch. The golden bell has been magically shrunk down, and it is currently hiding inside Vitrovia's magical pocket dimension, which takes the form of her bag.
And we have to talk about this bag, because it isn't just, a standard bag of holding that you buy at a magic shop to carry your extra swords.
No.
This is a highly specific moon energy pocket dimension. It is intrinsically tied to Vitrovia's entire character arc.
Yeah, her secretive druidic mission is to somehow repopulate her destroyed homelands, and this bag is literally the vessel for that.
Right, so it is the most valuable thing she owns, both mechanically and emotionally.
Exactly. So Vitrovia is sitting in the basement of the Miners' Exchange with Halia Thornton, the Zhentarim agent, trying to negotiate the sale of this priceless shrine bell.
And she is just absolutely terrified.
Terrified that if she pulls the bell out of the bag, Helio will see the bag's unique magic. Vitrovia is operating under the assumption that if the Zhentarim see an incredibly powerful, one-of-a-kind pocket dimension, they will immediately try to steal it.
I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, right?
Go for it.
Honestly, if I have a priceless, culturally significant artifact bag, and I'm sitting across the table from a known crime boss whose entire organization is built on theft and extortion, I'm keeping that bag closed.
I mean, it's fair.
Vitrovia's logic is completely sound. The Zhentarim steal things for a living.
From a pure, real-world logic standpoint, her paranoia makes complete sense. But in the context of a tabletop role-playing game, this is a fascinating trap.
How so?
Because hoarding a secret from your dungeon masters, NPCs, like acting evasive and suspicious to protect something, almost always triggers a worse consequence than just being upfront.
Right, because you force the negotiation into an impossible corner. Vitrovia refuses to actually show Helia the bag.
You won't take it out of the bag at all.
So they're sitting in this basement, haggling over 2,500 gold pieces for an item the buyer isn't even allowed to lay eyes on. It is painfully coy. That's like trying to sell a luxury car to a highly skeptical buyer, but absolutely refusing to open the garage door so they can even see the paint job.
That's a perfect analogy. And when you play that evasively, the dungeon master has to call for a persuasion check with an incredibly high difficulty class.
Which Vitrovia just completely bombs. She rolls terribly.
So bad. But notice how the DM handles this failure, because this is a technique called failing forward.
Right, they don't just shut it down.
Exactly. The DM doesn't just say, Helia says, no, you don't get the money, leave. That would stall the game. Instead, the DM lets them succeed at the task. They get the 2,500 gold, but they fail the narrative objective.
Oh, that's brutal.
Helia gives them the money, but Vitrovia's terrible rolling and suspicious behavior basically confirms to a master manipulator that this druid is hiding something incredibly valuable.
So the cost of the transaction becomes astronomical. Like, was protecting the secret of that moon bag really worth making a suspicious enemy of the town's most powerful underground faction right before an orc invasion?
Probably not. It perfectly illustrates that tension between personal motivations and group survival. Vitrovia prioritized her long-term druidic mission over the short-term political stability of the party.
And by acting so defensively, they earned the deep distrust of Helia Thornton.
Yeah, in a world where political alliances mean survival, burning a bridge with the Zhentarim is a heavy price to pay just to keep a bag hidden.
Seriously. Vitrovia learned the hard way that holding on to your secrets costs you your political leverage.
Definitely.
But for our next character, the cost of his secret isn't political, it's deeply spiritual. And it involves a cosmic lore drop that fundamentally changes how one of the heroes actually plays the game.
Yes. So while the Zhentarim bridge is smoldering, Whiffer is out walking down the street. And a child runs up and hands him a mysterious note.
It's out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. And the note just has a single instruction. Go to the back room of Barthen's Provisions.
So Whiffer follows the instructions, he goes to the shop, and the owner, Elmar Barthen, silently leads him to a darkened back room.
Very ominous.
Right. Sitting in the shadows is a hooded figure.
Yeah.
And before the stranger even speaks a single word, she makes a hand gesture. And suddenly, she summons Whiffer's own echo.
Okay, we need to pause and explain the mechanics of Whiffer's character to understand why this is so shocking. Because Whiffer is a fighter, specifically an Echo Knight.
And usually the Echo Knight is just a really cool subclass where a fighter pulls like a time-displaced, shadowy duplicate of themselves from an alternate timeline to fight alongside them.
Yeah, you use it to teleport or to hit a goblin twice from across the room. It's basically a mechanical combat trick.
But the Dungeon Master here completely rewrites that standard flavor text and ties it directly to Whiffer's backstory.
Completely, because the hooded figure sitting in Barthen's back room doesn't just summon the echo, she controls it.
Wow.
Then she lowers her hood. She is a tiefling, and her first words to Whiffer are, "It's been too long, bloodkin."
Wait, it's his twin sister, Whiffla.
Yes, Whiffla. But she isn't just, a long-lost sibling who wandered into town. She is a guard in Avernus, so literal nine hells.
Oh.
And she serves the archdevil Raphael.
The contrast here is just staggering, because Whiffer is an Aasimar. And for the uninitiated, an Aasimar is a being glowing with radiant celestial energy, right?
Right. They are touched by the upper planes, essentially part angel.
And his twin sister is a devil-touched tiefling from hell, bearing horns and an infernal heart.
Exactly. And Wifla explains that they don't just share DNA, they share a literal fused soul.
A fused soul.
Yes. She carries the infernal half, which physically manifested in her tiefling traits. Whiffer carries the radiant celestial half.
So the Echo Whiffer has been summoning his whole life isn't just a cool fighter shadow clone.
No, it is Wifla. Or rather, it is the manifestation of their missing halves reaching out to each other across the planes of existence.
That is insane. So every time he used that ability in combat, he was subconsciously reaching into the Nine Hells.
Exactly. And Wifla drops an incredibly heavy piece of information here.
What does she tell him?
She tells him that when Whiffer died back in Session 8 at the Shrine of Savras, when Boris had to resurrect him, Wifla felt it. Oh, wow.
She explains that a literal part of her died too. She lost the ability to summon her own echo. Man, imagine finding out your coolest party trick is actually your twin sister's soul screaming across dimensions.
I know, it's incredibly dark.
But wait, I have a question here. How does this actually work mechanically? Because souls in Dungeons & Dragons are usually like indivisible units of consciousness.
Usually, yes.
They get traded to devils or they go to the afterlife, but they don't just split down the middle.
Yeah.
How did one half end up as a radiant Aasimar and the other as a tiefling serving an archdevil?
Well, the answer lies hidden in the notes the party found in a previous session, back in the Karak lab. The Ricard Ironton notes.
Okay.
Ricard is their father, and alongside their mother, Mila, they were bioarcane engineers. The notes detail something called the Prophecy of the Fused Soul.
I remember this. The text of the prophecy is so specific. It says, wait, I have it right here. From a single spirit, divided and whole, two champions will rise from one fused soul. The first, an angel's touch, carries the radiant glow. The other, with horns, carries the infernal fires of hell.
Yeah, that's it. And their parents were actively trying to fulfill this ancient text. They were trying to create a void weapon to save the Sword Coast, using their own children as the biological blueprint.
Using their own kids. That is horrifying.
Right. And this revelation exposes a huge vulnerability for Whiffer. I mean, his soul is intrinsically tethered to a sister who is essentially a prisoner to a lawful evil devil.
It recontextualizes everything. He isn't just a warrior anymore. Whatever pain Whiffla endures, whatever literal chains bind her in Avernus, Whiffer is spiritually anchored to it.
Exactly. And they have this incredibly tearful, heavy reunion in the back of a grocery store, basically.
Yeah, but it doesn't last, does it?
No. Whiffla has to vanish back to hell before Raphael realizes she's gone. She leaves Whiffer with a mountain of cosmic trauma and basically no time to process any of it.
Right, because the clock on the Orc invasion hasn't stopped ticking. The party has the gold from the Zentrum. They have their personal secrets laid bare. But they are still missing the one crucial piece of strategic information they need to turn the tide.
The exact location of the Tower of Storms?
Yes, which serves as the base of operations for Admiral Moesco.
Which brings us to the climax of Session 10.
My favorite part.
We move from spiritual debts to literal physical gambling.
The party regroups and heads to Casino Phandel. And this casino operates out of the basement of Bajaklau's brothel and theater.
Right, and there is a fantastic bit of levity before they descend into the basement.
Oh, the play.
Yes. Boris, the party's cleric, actually sits through a hilariously offensive lowbrow play called Sill Daddy just to support Bajaclau.
I love that. It's a great character moment that shows the humanity of the party before the tension just ratchets all the way up.
Yeah, because once they walk down those stairs into the casino basement, the tone shifts entirely. They are entering a high-stakes gambling tournament.
It's a 50 gold piece buy-in featuring tavern games like Timora's Spinner, 21 Liar's Dice, and cheaters always prosper.
And they aren't just playing against local merchants looking to blow off steam either. Sitting at the main table is Captain Lorca O'Shea.
And Lorca is such a fascinating NPC. He is the father of Teach, the party's spectacularly incompetent 16-year-old intern.
Poor Teach.
But Lorca isn't just a deadbeat dad, He is a seasoned pirate. And more importantly, he bears the exact symbol of Talos on his coat. This is the symbol of the Bronzolo Pirates.
The exact same crew that sank the SS Temple of Dawn, murdering Boris's former crewmen.
So the moment Boris sees that symbol, the tension in the room is suffocating.
It really is. But Lorca isn't there to fight. He is a desperate man. He is a gambling addict playing with borrowed crew money.
Which is never a good idea.
Never. He must win this tournament's pot, or his own cutthroat pirate crew will likely turn on him and kill him. Yet, Lorca holds the one thing the party desperately needs.
The map and the safe route through the reefs to the Tower of Storms.
Exactly. So, Lorca makes a proposition. He sees capable adventurers with deep pockets, and he offers a wager.
And it's a wild wager.
Very. If the party manages to win the tournament pot, completely clearing out the table, he will give them the route to Admiral Mosco's base. But if Lorca wins the pot, one of the heroes has to join Mosco's Talos crew. Forever.
They are betting their actual freedom. And they don't just, like, spit in their palms and shake hands. They seal this deal with an oath bond.
Yeah, we have to unpack the mechanics of this because it is terrifying. The casino employs a hooded paladin named John.
John the Oathkeeper.
Right. And he is there strictly to enforce high roller bets. He administers a consented Gia spell to magically bind the wager.
Now, if you've never looked at the Gia spell in the player's handbook,
Yeah.
it is brutal. It's a 5th level enchantment that fundamentally strips away a character's agency.
It's rough.
Usually, if you break a Gias, the magic literally tears your hit points apart from the inside, dealing massive psychic damage every single day until you comply.
But this specific oath bond they sign goes a step further than that. The penalty for breaking this deal isn't just damage, it is literal, inescapable death.
Absolute madness. The players sit down at a tavern table and throw their actual, literal free will into the pot. They legally and magically bind themselves to a pirate who works for a storm god.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like, I have to point out the insanity here. It's one thing to play poker on a Friday night with your friends and lose $20.
Sure.
It is entirely another to sit at a blackjack table knowing that if you draw a bad card, you belong to a pirate lord for the rest of your natural life.
Right, but take that a step further and look at the Dungeon Master's design here. This is a masterclass in how to raise the stakes without initiating combat.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Lorca isn't presented as some monstrous raid boss with legendary actions and a massive health pool, he is just a desperate man in debt.
Yeah.
By tying the most crucial campaign information to a casino mini-game and then locking it behind magical legal consequences, the DM turns a simple tavern distraction into a life-or-death encounter.
It's basically psychological warfare. You can almost hear the dice hitting the felt.
Yeah, and the mechanics of these games, Liar's Dice, Blackjack variants, they rely heavily on deception, insight, and pure luck.
And slowly, agonizingly, the heroes start losing.
They do. Vitrovia, who is already rattled from her disastrous meeting with the Zhentarim, just watches her luck run out entirely. She busts out of the tournament.
And Whiffer.
Whiffer is completely distracted, understandably, fresh off the cosmic trauma of realizing his soul is tethered to hell. So he bleeds out his gold and busts as well.
They're dropping like flies. And as the night draws to a close, the casino clears out. Session 10 ends on a massive, agonizing cliffhanger.
Only 3 players remain seated at the table for the final showdown. Captain Lorca O'Shea, sweating and playing for his life against his own crew's debts.
Radir, the party's warlock, who is literally housing a spirit of vengeance.
And Boris.
Boris, the cleric of Timora, who is literally the goddess of luck, sitting across from a pirate wearing the symbol of Talos, the god of storms and destruction, who drowned Boris's friends.
It is a cinematic standoff between luck and destruction.
And it perfectly encapsulates everything that made Session 10 so incredible. Think about it. There was no traditional combat in this entire session.
None. Not a single sword was swung. Not a single fireball was cast.
Not a drop of blood was spilled on the floor. Yet the stakes have arguably never been higher in the entire campaign.
No, they really haven't. They alienated the Zhentarim intelligence network because they tried to hoard their secrets.
Right.
Whiffer discovered that his very existence is a cosmic vulnerability tied to an archdevil in Avernus, and now they are gambling their free will in a smoky basement against a desperate man.
If you've ever played a campaign, you know this exact panic. You build your stats to fight dragons, but suddenly you're sweating bullets over a game of liar's dice.
Yeah, it reminds you that the most dangerous encounters often happen not with weapons, but with words, secrets, and wagers.
Absolutely. A bad persuasion check with a crime boss can absolutely be deadlier than a missed attack roll against a goblin.
It forces the players to realize that their character sheets are just tools to navigate the consequences of their choices. And the choices made in Session 10 have set a series of traps that are about to spring on them from all sides.
We started this deep dive talking about waking up from a crash, surviving the adrenaline of a burning shrine, only to realize the deductible is due.
That deductible is definitely due.
The party thought they were safe taking a long rest in Phandalin, but the muddy waters of their past, Vitrovia's hidden mission, Whiffer's biological destiny, Boris's nautical trauma are rising fast.
They are going to have to pay those debts, one way or another.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over. A question that lingers in the air long after the dice stop rolling in this session.
It's a haunting question.
It really is. During that reunion in the back of the provision shop, Whiffle looked at Whiffer and asked, "Why am I devil touch when you are just human, despite us sharing a soul?"
It is the ultimate terrifying unknown of the Ironton family backstory.
What unspoken, horrific sacrifice did their parents, Ricard and Mila Brightblade, actually make during their bioarcane experiments?
Yeah, what exactly did they do in that laboratory that was so profane, so unnatural, that it ripped a single, indivisible soul apart?
Leaving one half bathed in heavenly grace and deliberately abandoning the other to the abyssal chaos of the Nine Hells.
Whatever bargain they made to split that soul, the echoes of that sacrifice are coming to collect.
Until next time, keep diving deep.